Hello and welcome to the very first ever World of Zwift, or was to its friends. This is the weekly show that brings you everything that you need to know about the landscape of Zwift racing, which after the first week, may I say, was lumpy. I'm Borg and I'll be your host as we dig into all that is great and good in the newly launched ZRL and beyond. And this week on the very first World of Zwift, as we rip the cellophane off, this is what we've got for you. We'll bring you highlights and results from the very first Premier Division races of the season. Hannah Walker, Nathan Guerra and Dave Towle, well, they'll be dropping by to give us their opinions on this week's racing across the divisions and to take a look ahead to next week's team time trials. We hear the origin story of my personal favourite team, which is Canyon Esports, and we get that from Team DS, Reese Howell. And three-time Olympic gold medalist Kristin Armstrong, well, she gives us her pro-level insight into how a TTT might play out on the RGV course next week. So, exciting times. The ZRL kicked off this week. 8 weeks of the finest Zwift racing amongst the top teams in the sport in the Premier Division. Now, this is alternating week on week between points races and the unique spectacle that is the team time trial. Mondays and Tuesdays, well, they'll never be the same again. That's right. Tuesdays are happening as well because the depth of this league is immense. You may have heard Nathan talking about it. There's divisions at every level and in multiple time zones as well. We have racing going on all over the world, and Tuesday night is community racing night on ZCL. Over 1,200 teams. And this week, I raced, me and my Cat C big dogs. Did we do well? I'll get back to you on that. But perhaps you raced. One thing I do know for sure in the Premier Division is the top women in the sport raced. And my word, did they light up the first week of ZRL racing. Yes, they did.
Welcome to week one of the Zwift Racing League. The teams will be taking on the big Foothills course in Watopia, total of 50 kilometers, 31.1 miles. Gardner, actually, I believe that's going to be from the KRT team. Amazing kick there.
And you just see how much that intermediate has split the group. Illy Gardner again, timing that to perfection with the power up.
Wilczynski is the first one to put a dig at the bottom of this Queen of the Mountain on the volcano.
Illy Gardner is lighting the burners. Lou Bates in pursuit of her. Mary Wilkinson, she's putting in a big surge now, 8.2 watts per kilogram.
It's going to be between R3R there and KRT. KRT takes it again. Gardner across the line. Heino has to settle for third and fourth place there.
This will be our front group now.
Bates dominating this climb so far.
It's going to be head-to-head for the two British riders with 200 metres remaining. Bates is holding on, but Gardner is just in the wheel.
Oh, does Gardner have a final kick? Bates, she let it out, but Gardner played it smart. She sat in the wheel, and she comes across in a race of attrition to the line. Heino's going to take third.
So the women kicked off proceedings with that cracker of a race, and these are the standings after week one. As you can see there in the women's, Heino are leading the pack. Now you may just have been able to pick out the honey tones of Hannah Walker there in amongst the excitable Nathan Guerra. And she's here right now. Hannah, how are you? Great to have you with us.
Yeah, I'm great, thanks OJ. It's great to be here and for the first of the World of Zwift. How exciting.
Indeed. How great is the ZRL?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think the racing that we saw on Monday evening was, it was fantastic. And I think, it's going to come down to the wire. It's the first of 8 weeks. And I think, the way that the teams came out, these are the best Zwifters in the world competing on Monday evenings. And I'm loving it so far.
And I think what a lot of people have been asking for is having this regular league season. What does it mean to have this season, do you think? I
think having the consistency week on week, these races, and I think, teams can go away, they can work on, maybe the points that they missed the week before. It alternates between the points race and the team time trials as well. So I think, it's a great opportunity for teams to come together wherever they are in the world on different corners of the globe. And I think having this series is brilliant.
I think that's one thing we've all missed during lockdown is that feeling of being part of a team, which is why it's been so brilliant. And what was your take on the first points race on Monday?
I think for me, actually, the standout performances were, some of the the small but mighty teams, the likes of Illy Gardner, who was absolutely phenomenal, but likewise with Lou Bates. Although Heino are actually leading the women overall, they had a fantastic performance on the evening. And likewise in the men's with Ben Healy of Trinity Racing, they had a small team of 3 riders, but the way he rode was fantastic. Canyon, as always, coming together, they've got such strength and depth. But with the team, we might come in nipping at the heels as well towards the end. It's brilliant.
Was there anyone who surprised you?
Actually, the big surprise, in the front group was Heino had 3 riders, but actually didn't try and split that front group to try and go for a long one or counter-attack each other. They just wanted to, sweep up as many points on the finish, maybe not win and take maximum points, but just to take consistency and sweep up all the points. So it surprised me that they didn't be a bit more aggressive. But I think, in the end, they knew they had the team overall wrapped up on that night, and they go into next week as the leaders.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. Who's your pick to win the Premier Division in Season 1?
Season 1, I think it's going to be Heino. For the women's, I think, they do have the strength in depth there. They have, a number of riders they can swap in and out on the roster. And to be honest, likewise with Canyon Esports.
They were safe picks, Hannah. Safe picks.
I want to see how they race for the team time trial. I'll see how good they are at team time trial, and then I might change my mind.
It's great to chat to you. Where are you right now? Where do we find you?
I'm in Belgium right now, so it's Tour of Flanders this weekend.
I don't know how to say goodbye in Flemish, so I'll just say goodbye. We'll speak to you next week.
Ciao. Cheers, OJ.
Ciao. Thank you very much, Hannah Walker there. Now, the man in the hot seat who was next to Hannah for the points race for the rest of the season will be Mr. Stevens himself, Mr. Matt Stevens. But sitting in for him here on Monday night was the busiest man, not just in Zwift racing, but on the planet. That is Nathan Guerra. He'll be joining me in just a moment. But first, let's see what happened with the men of the Premier Division on Monday night.
Welcome to week 1 of the Zwift Racing League. The teams will be taking on the big foothills course in Watopia, total of 50 kilometers, 31.1 miles.
Davis up towards the front, Jimmy Kershaw, Rick Ottimer as well. Jones in first place just there.
What a move here by Ben Healy. Full on attack now. 12 watts per kilogram. Team Turbo's back on the map. Sega Brooks, Spencer.
Constant changing of guard at the front of this peloton.
Now Healy again on the aggression.
Vyarsin goes straight past them all. Mike Kerman, the British rider, just on his wheel. Ben Healy, the rider of the night for me from Trinity Racing, coming round Ollie Jones, catches him straight by with 2 kilometers remaining.
He's looking for the arrow tuck. He's not getting it. Here comes the pack. Oh no. Ryan Larson, 200 meters to go, takes over the front. That's way too early. Here comes his teammate. It's going to be Q-Mean trying to make a show with 100 meters to go. P.O. Auto at the front. Thrall takes over. Q-Mean trying to hang on for 3rd place though, but no, it's going to be Foldiger. Foldiger takes it down.
Nathan Guerra, the man, the myth, the mouth, the man who's always there in the right moment, and that moment is right here with us right now. Nathan, how are you?
Great, super excited for everything happening with the Zwift Racing League. It has been a lot of racing. It's been extremely exciting.
It's been a ton of racing. We've loved every second of it. What was your standout moment from Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, really, you got the solo KRT rider, Illy Gardner, and then you've got Heino, the juggernaut in the women's race. That was the head-to-head solo versus team. And then Canyon versus Sars, the pros closet. Something we've seen before in the men's racing. That was definitely standout. And then the rider that has made a career out of Zwift racing alone, never raced a bike out in real life. Now she's applying for UCI, maybe World Championships. Kristen Kolczynski riding for 2020, getting a top 5. That is an amazing testimony to what Zwift racing is all about.
I love the fact that she's never really ridden on the road. She's now made an entire career out of the fact that she races on Zwift. You'll be bringing us all the action from the community divisions of the ZRL on Tuesdays over on ZCL. What went down on Tuesday?
Well, Tuesday, I have to really highlight the European zone because we had Wahoo Lacole with Ed Laverick doing Ed mode, taking on the entirety of the pack, winning the Watopia forward climb, winning the KOM on the volcano, then winning outright over the top of the finish line, grabbing a lot of points for Wahoo Lacole. We had a bunch of smack talk as well in chat. We had Canyon Esports showing up with Lionel Viasta saying, excited to see maybe in the future, as there are spots available in the Premier League after season 1 for teams that come up out of the community divisions. And Wahoo Lacole, Ed Laverick, his response, we'll see you soon.
Man, I love beef. I'm a big fan of beef. More beef, please. Now, you don't have to focus on me here, Nathan. You don't have to, even though I was racing down there. Who are the ones to watch in the lower divisions based on week 1?
I think he gave him a little bit of run for their money, but I definitely think it's going to be in the APAC zone. Relentless with Gorsicki showed up, came out of nowhere, and it looks like Relentless, they're making a name for themselves. The Mighty Mallards, that's another one I'd be watching out for on the men's side of things. A Canyon Dev showed up, Tor2K as well. Watch out on the women's side, Sox for Watts. They're looking to make it, I think, into the Premier League. They've definitely been dominant, but a newer team that doesn't have a jersey in game, so watch out for that. Cryogen on the women's side as well. ATP Revo scores in the Americas. I would watch out for those teams from the women's side. And then Finesse Wahoo, they were all over both of the Americas zones. So watch out for Finesse Wahoo as well.
I mean, it's amazing how many teams. I heard you talking about 1,200 teams have joined up. In weeks 2, 4, 6, and 8 of this first season of the ZRL, you're going to be joined by your regular partner in crime on the WTRL shows. That's Mr. Dave Towle, who's with us right now. Dave, how are you?
Doing fantastic, OJ. Thank you.
It's great to have you with me. How many team time trials on Thursday nights have you guys covered now?
Yeah, the WTRL, OJ, has been an absolute phenomenon. I jumped on board around edition 50. We do them every Thursday, and this week we're up to number 78. So it's been a worldwide movement as WTRL has resuscitated this awesome discipline of racing, and I'm stoked it's part of the ZRL.
I've always been a fan of watching team time trials, in real life and on Zwift as well. Talk to us about the unique nature of the team time trial in the context of Zwift racing.
Yeah, 100%. I would estimate 90% of our riders really don't have much or any experience, as there's not a lot of team time trialing. It's a complicated event to produce. So WTRL boiling this down for a format that worked in esports has been incredible. And now we're going to see the riders that have experience. And, you know, as you said, the numbers have been incredible. Some weeks we'll have 4,000 riders out there on Thursday. So those riders are going to bring knowledge back to their ZRL teams. And you're going to see that knowledge is invaluable out here. It's an exceptional effort, and it requires an amazing coordination amongst the team. So these teams are really going to have a steep learning curve, as they say, as they race in their first ever team time trial in the ZRL.
Talking about steep learning curves, I managed to get a few facts on how to ride a good team time trial out of Dave before we recorded. So thank you for that. I'll see if they work. Nathan, who's got what it takes to do well in both forms of this racing?
Yeah, so I'd be watching out, in the Premier. Definitely watch out for the TTT. We're looking at Heino as well as a battle between them and 2020. Heino's got the numbers, they've got the power, they've got experience for sure. They've been the juggernaut amongst the women, but I think 2020 had some pickups. They picked up Charlotte Backus specifically, I believe, for her known ability to know how to run the TTT. They brought her in. I know they've been doing recon rides. I know that she's been teaching them up in Discord chats, making sure that they know how to run. And they've got the numbers when it comes to in real life power. If they can translate that into the game, because it's a different kind of TTT, I think that they might give everybody a run for money and come out of nowhere. Watch out for 2020. Heino, though, they're going to be really hard to beat. On the men's side of things, Stars to Pros Closet, we've seen them do it earlier in the spring and some other racing with TTT. So I think Stars to Pros Closet are definitely going to be really hungry in the men's race on the Premier Division for the TTT. PO Auto, though, definitely a mention. They haven't won in a while. We'll see if they can make something happen.
Looking forward to it. Dave, who's your pick for the Premier Division in Season 1?
Well, I'm going to pick up and dovetail into what Nathan was saying. I'm going to go with the World Elite Zwifter squad. They have been absolutely phenomenal. They've done their homework, and they are motivated. They have been waiting for this week more than any other team out there, I would say. So on the men's side, World Elite Zwifters, and then I'm going to have to double down with Nathan on Heino there. I think that team brings the experience. They're bringing in Lizzie Duncombe as well, a world-class triathlete who brings a lot of knowledge. Again, with WTRL, you had this team called called Socks for Watts, and that team now is disbanded back to their original, let's call it trade teams that they race with. That knowledge is going to be invaluable. The horsepower, OJ, even more important, but it's knowing how to apply it out there. So I'm going to go Hino and World Elite Zwifters.
And Nathan?
Yeah, so, I think as just straight picks go, this is a tough one. I'm gonna throw it in there and say 2020 are gonna learn it. They're gonna know what's gonna happen. They're gonna keep doing their homework, and I think they're gonna come back for the season and try and take this down. I think they did enough drafting too. They really stacked their team up. And then on the men's side of things, Canyon, as an overall season, they're going to be hard to beat. They showed themselves over and over again. They showed that they're willing to take risks. We see Ollie Jones off the front, 7 watts per kilogram, at the end, going into the final climb. And then they make everybody make a chase. And I think Canyon, they've got the experience. We've seen it over and over again. When it really matters, they show up. You can't beat the duck. Lionel, come on.
Can't beat the Ducks. I love it. Listen, you guys are great. I can't wait for Monday night when you're running things again. We'll see you there. The ZRL, like any good sports or esports league, well, it's all about the people involved. So each week we'll be bringing you a little origin story from one of the teams involved, either in the Premier Division or from one of the community divisions. And this week, well, let's start with one of the most dominant forces in all of Zwift racing. That is Canyon Esports.
Canyon Esports consolidate their position.
Canyon Esports are looking to try and walk away with this one.
A perfect day for the Canyon team. They really have dominated.
Originally I wanted to start a team back in 2017 when I first moved here to Berlin, but back then racing was in a very different state of play, and it actually took almost 2 years until I was able to form a team again. Lena was one of the first people I spoke to, and I remember him telling me, I'm not sure which team I want to ride for yet, and I thought that a little bit arrogant, but okay, and we kind of stayed in touch over the years. And then fast forward to December 2018, and he was the first person I got in touch with, and luckily for me, he hadn't picked a team still in those 2 years, so he was the first person to join the team.
It's now Vujusan.
I think what makes our team pretty unique is obviously this blend between cycling and music, and I think so far it's worked quite well because we want to do something which doesn't just try and mimic what we've already seen in cycling, and I think that's true of what Zwift is anyway. It's something completely new, and so we tried to bring this kind of fresh take to how a cycling team should look, should act. We try to make and animate races in a way which perhaps others don't. Yeah, we try and make it exciting and add a bit of flourish where possible. So I think that's about looking at the course that we have coming up and really deciding what our team tactics are going to be. And if nothing's happening, then we might see Ollie Jones go attack off the front. Whether that's just for TV time, whether that is to try and stretch out and make the rest of the guys in the pack suffer. And so we always have a plan going into every single race that we do. We always have a tactic. And sure, these might change. That's why we have a race radio. But I would say 95% of the time we race the way we intended to beforehand. Yeah, we really pride ourselves on being one of the stronger teams in Zwift racing, but it's also paramount that there are other teams that are able to compete with us. And I think we've definitely seen that over the last year. Many teams have upped their game, and now it's much more open than it perhaps was almost a year ago.
509 watts per kilogram here as we're heating up into the final 200 meters.
Yeah, this is incredible what's here.
The other thing with our team is we have always tried to make sure that it's completely even between men and women. So we've always had 6 men and 6 women in our senior squad. And I think that's really important in the modern era to make sure that everyone basically gets the same opportunities and exposure.
Wilkinson's coming through. She's got the aero power up. Wilkinson took it down right at the last moment.
I'm really excited about the Zwift Racing League. It's been highly anticipated for a while. And I think what's really great about it is the fact that now we have this Premier Division, which our senior teams will be racing in, but then there's also these lower level community leagues where our development team will be racing in that, but then also there's hundreds of other teams that can race against one another. And what's most important is the fact that they have the opportunity to be able to make it to the Premier League by winning their own divisions.
That is amazing! amazing, Kieran Lewis. You are my hero.
I just love working with guys from all different backgrounds from all around the world, and they all bring something completely unique to the squad. And what's amazing is that somehow it all manages to gel really well.
So we've seen how the points race shook down on Bigfoot Hills in race week 1, and we've heard who Nathan and Dave's picks are for race week 2. But what about the course for this first ever Triple T, this team time trial in the ZRL? Well, to get a unique insight on what lays ahead of our teams, we asked somebody with some serious chrono palmares and someone who knows Zwift inside and out to take a look at the course for us, and that is 3-time Olympic time trial gold medalist Kristin Armstrong.
We are on the RGV route. So the course is actually 24 kilometers, and you're gonna find the first 12 kilometers is hand flat. Some of the little details that you're gonna find in this course are actually spectacular. Lots of windmills. We have Mont Saint Michel. It's really important during a time trial that you break up a course such as RGV and really segment it out. And this is all about how you entertain your mind. It's really, really important. Here we go through the arch. One of the things that many teams who wanted to come out and compete in a team time trial are utilizing now as a platform is called Discord. This is basically a gamer's platform where you're communicating with one another because you need to know how your teammates are feeling at all times. We're approaching the KOM now. You can see the pavement change, the color change. The team time trial is definitely a mental exertion. So one of my mantras that I repeat to myself over and over is, am I hurting more than anyone else? And if I'm not, I'm probably not winning the race. Just over 2K to go, still twisting and turning. Probably every 5-10 pedal strokes, you are making yet another turn. We've popped out of the tight undulations and we are back onto a straighter road with a few more turns in front of us. There you have it, RGV. If you get out on this course and compete, best of luck. I hope my tips helped you today.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to Monday's TTT. Can Canyon and Hino extend their week 1 leads in week 2, or will a time trial juggernaut emerge from the chasing pack? Make sure you join Nathan and Dave right here on Monday to find out. And if you want to get involved, you can still sign up your team over at WTRL for the community divisions. I'll be racing again with my Cat Big Togs. For me, a team time trial, considering I'm built like a rugby league forward, or if you're in America, a linebacker, a flat TT. I love them. If you want to catch the best of the community action, make sure you head over to Zwift Community Live on Tuesday. There's something to suit every time zone. Then we'll be back here next Friday with all that is good and great in the world of Zwift. The ZRL has landed and we've got it all covered. For now, don't just ride, race, and ride on.